Podcast, episode 14, recorded for the week of May 29th, 2022. And I am James Jordan, alongside Michael Wallace.
Good evening, good afternoon, whatever time it is. Hello to everyone. And of course you. How are you doing?
We're fantastic. Excited to be here, doing what we love doing, talk about motorsports to people who love listening about motorsports. You might be listening to us on various mediums, such as CKMS 102.7 Radio Waterloo monthly, CFMH 107.3 local FM Saturdays at 1 p.m. in St. John, and the Performance Motorsports Network on your smart device. Just open up the App Store and download it. You can also check us out on www.Wide World of Motorsports podcast.wordpress.com, and we have some good developments.
Yes.
We have some good developments for that one.
Some big news, some real
some good
news.
Developments, some real stuff coming along the way. We'll probably be able to take the WordPress out, I think, Wallace. We'll see though, but it's still open. We're still open to obviously more of the some more action there. You can just send us an email at wideworldofmotorsports@gmail.com if you're interested in having your brand or your product on our show, and we'll come out and we'll have a fun time with you. We're always down for expanding any sort of branding or anything related to motorsports to help motorsports or anything automotive succeed, especially in 2022. So we're open to that. So make sure you contact us there. And also on just on social media generally, awesome stuff on the Instagram there. We've got lots of cool reels that are coming up. Yeah. That Wallace has been working in there on the Instagram at the WWOMS.
Some more to come this weekend because I will be going to Full Throttle Motor Speedway because the weather is supposed to hold out. So I'll be posting Varney. Yeah, so I'll be posting some stuff there. There's some late model stuff, and I'm sure the kids are going to love it. I'm going to love it, no doubt.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to that too. I'm kind of actually jealous as you're going. It sounds like it's going to be a blast there. Is that so? What kind of racing are you going to be seeing?
I think it's junior late models. It's late models. I'm just gotta look it up real quick here.
And is that the one with the chain racing or the train racing or whatever?
They're not there this weekend. They're not doing that this weekend, but it is the same track.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'd love to.
But
those are so sick.
that one got rained out. Unfortunately, it would have been fun. For some reason, the website's not loading up on me right now. But yeah. So I'm just excited to go see something a little bit different.
Well, I can't wait to keep my eyes open on the Instagram there. That since we've got that going now, and you've been doing pretty good there on the Insta. So y'all on the Insta, hit up Wallace on our Insta page, the WWOMS. Also, we're on Facebook and Twitter. Got some cool stuff going on Twitter and Facebook specifically. And Twitter too, I guess. Actually, we have lots of cool shots of our weekend at CTMP. We're got some cool shots of some drivers and some other notables in the paddock, as well as some awesome action shots of cars on track, as well as race winner Kevin Lacroix, and some moments in the media center. So check that out on the Facebook page at the WWOMS. And also while you're there, our interview with Kevin Lacroix, race winner of round 2 of the NASCAR Pinty season.
Great interview too.
Kevin Lacroix recaps his race, gives us his thoughts on racing with new faces, and he's like cool things too. He kind of takes us back to his day too, earlier on in his day too. And we also break down the last lap of the eBay Motors 200. And once again, thanks for giving us time on the show, Kevin. And looking forward to show to air in a couple weeks. And as you've posted as well on our WordPress, on our website, and on the Facebook page, a couple of cool articles we have posted up. I took some top moments and takeaways from our weekend at NASCAR Pinty's at CTMP, and as well as some stuff from you after the first 2 races as well, of the NASCAR Pinty season, where you could kind of give some of your insight on some season opening notables. So there was some good read as well up on the website and up on the Facebook page, and of course, as usual, our usual updates of the race winners and cool little factoids during the races, and being able to bring you the news from the track to the community. Also, listening to us also on all the major streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iTunes, whatever other all of the stuff that's out there. Someone recommended to me that we make an OnlyFans. Because did you know OnlyFans was actually made originally just for normal stuff? A lot of YouTubers and podcasters actually used OnlyFans, and
no,
and to
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we should start an OnlyFans. Wallace, what do you think about that one? Make some money.
Yeah,
we'll put Wallace out there.
I think 2 guys talking about auto racing, covering a lot of NASCAR Pinties would be an OnlyFans niche market, but hey, somebody's got to fill that,
right? Whatever floats your boat, right? But yeah, awesome. Last week it was a long week for. We got a lot of stuff out there. It was a long week for the WOMs, and it was nice to get to the weekend, and with the the trifecta of racing, which I think it's been said for a while among race fans that this Sunday should be, the Sunday should be a holiday.
Well, they started calling it
Christmas in May.
Christmas in May. Yeah, I started hearing that. That's pretty new.
Right? It's the trifecta. I've said for years, this is like our 4th or 5th trifecta of racing. I've been doing that I've always called it the trifecta for me.
Well, what's interesting about this weekend and having the 3 races is that it's almost brought all 3 fan bases together one day a year.
Right.
I would say more so. I would say more so in the last decade have Formula One fans recognized the Indy 5 more so. I'm saying I'm not saying they never did before, but they're recognizing it more so.
Right.
The Indy 500, and now even really recognizing the Coke 600 as being a big deal. And just to speak to that, we saw Fernando at the Indy 500 radio to Jenson Button at Monaco when Jenson filled in for Alonso, because Alonso raced at the Indy 500. Alonso said good luck and stuff to him, and
cool.
from Indiana.
Oh, that's
So
sick. Nice.
right, so that's really cool, and that just is showing that cross link. I think NASCAR this year really embraced the setup of Monaco, Indy, and then the Coke 600, the longest race of the year for NASCAR. So
Well, for
it
us,
is
it started off with some local stuff.
it did actually.
Yeah.
Friday night we started. I didn't know it. I saw it posted online that Rogers Cable, if you're local to our area, you would know them.
In
And
southwestern and southern Ontario.
yeah, which and they do also stream live on YouTube. Delaware Speedway, the Friday night racing. So I wasn't doing much Friday night. My wife and kids were gone to the trailer. I was home because I had some other obligations, and I got to watch. And I let you were out for a little bit and came home, and we got to watch some really good racing.
Oh yeah. From Delaware Speedway on Friday night, a little battle between Jack Sheridan and Kyle Stackley. Always cool to see some Wide World of Motorsports alumnus racing around, and awesome coverage too from the Rogers TV guys.
Yeah, they did really well. They did really well.
Yeah.
I was impressed. The camera work was good. The commentating was good.
When I heard the commentating, I'm like, this guy had to have called a hockey game at some point in his life.
Oh, definitely.
Like he has that hockey annauncer sound. I'm like,
for sure.
This guy, it's cool because he probably just likes wrestling, and he's doing some. He probably likes racing, and he's just doing some racing now. Nothing wrong with that.
And which is great, and I'm glad that they.
It's cool. It's cool that they ventured out. Rogers ventures out there and. They put that out, and it's interesting because they put it out there for a reason. There's got to be a base there. There's got to be people watching it, so that's real cool to see. And it's not like it's tough to get out to it's only about an hour and a half drive or so, if you drive slow. But it's a good venture to. Mm-hmm. The track, but it's still cool to watch it locally. So we got
3 hours for me.
Yeah, so a little bit longer for you. It's close for the Americans there. It's close to the Detroit border between Windsor and Detroit. There, it's just not too far. It's within 45-minute drive from the border there.
This what I watched on Friday with super stocks and late models is I'm excited for the Pinty's race at the Fall Brawl this year. It's going to be
Delaware's looking good, and I'm absolutely looking forward to every race. Yeah. So other stuff too. I think finally the Canadian Motorsport Hall of Fame.
Had its inductees.
Had its couple of years of inductees, and you can check out all their inductees up there on CMHF.ca. But obviously there's lots of
nice that they could be honored.
There's lots of Pinty's notables in there. Yeah, it was nice that they could be honored finally. Yeah, and a nice gathering as well for that. So that was cool for the Saturday. And we also for our esports fans out there, real quick before we get into the trifecta here, we were also occupied with a new game that we got on the Steam sale, and it's on sale for a couple more days, so y'all get it if the race fans that like video games. It's called Assetto Corsa, and we're basically racing Pinty's tracks on it. We'll be racing basically the Pinty's cars, so we'll be putting some of that up on our website under our esports tab. But that's something we're still occupied over, so that's kind of how our weekend went. For the at least for me, we were busy with that.
And we found ourselves, or I found myself, driving around, just enjoying, not even driving race cars, just driving cars, just to drive cars. I have my H pattern gated shifter here, and I got in some older cars or some, cars with proper manual gearboxes, and I've been having a blast. So
Yeah, that was a bit of
Good
a
deal.
it was a big rake into
$9.
racing. We got right into that right for the trifecta weekend.
And Mosport, just throwing this out there, whoever did that Mosport for
John
CTMP,
777 or something like that. Yeah, that
it
was
is it is
amazing
it is amazing.
on this game.
iRacing, if they could do that for iRacing, it would be primo. I mean, there's just quickly, because we got to move on to Formula One here, but quickly, the
Yeah.
details of it are amazing. You're racing around the track, you're seeing cars driving around the outside of the track, you're seeing fans waving, you're seeing people having campfires, you're seeing the smoke rise and stuff. It's just it's
Yeah,
awesome.
we want people to race with us. Actually, we're gonna post a lobby once in a while. We're gonna stream it too.
Last night,
yeah, so we're gonna also post up a session. We hope people out there will feel free to join us on our esports team as well. So, but yeah, let's get into the trifecta here. The beginning
Crown
of it.
Jewel of Formula One.
Yeah, Sergio Perez getting his third career Grand Prix victory in F1 as Checo took the checkered flag in Monaco.
Yeah, first Mexican to ever win the Monaco Grand Prix. So that's really big news. A little bit of retribution from the last race in Spain between him and Verstappen. But ultimately, I think Perez wasn't going to win the race until Ferrari got in its own way and
it's funny how you say
bungled
Verstappen.
Everything up. Yeah, usually you want to say Verstappen because it is Verstappen,
right?
But this week it was Perez, and I'm happy. That's great. It's good to see. He had to fight for it. Like he at the end there, the last few laps, he was fighting Carlos really, really hard for that. So, it wasn't like it was a gimme. Of course, the race started.
Yeah, it was all awkwardly. Yeah, there were, for practice and for the qualifying sessions, it was fantastic weather. And then when race, of course, it always seems like in racing that happens on the actual race day. It always seems like the worst weather in the world is going to happen. But yeah, the actual race day, heavy rain flooded the track just before the scheduled start, and that had caused an hour-long delay.
Yeah, which is it is what it is. I don't think
a rain delay in F1, eh?
Yeah, I mean, it was that bad, especially at that track. Not only are you talking about tight walls and barriers everywhere, and they're flying. Street tracks are harder and trickier.
This is in Italy.
No, this is in Monaco.
Sorry. Yeah, Monaco. What country is Monaco in? France?
Monaco is its own country.
Oh yeah, I have no idea.
It's actually not.
No idea.
It's not a country. It's a principality.
It's bordered by France to the northeast and west.
Yeah. So
it's France.
Prince Albert is its.
Huh.
Like, it's actually kind of ironic that Lewis Hamilton almost couldn't race in Monaco
Italy?
because of and Monaco is governed by a Prince Albert.
Yeah,
it's
funny.
Isn't that a little bit ironic?
So a little geography lesson for everybody. Yeah, I always thought so. If you actually look at it on the map, though, it's like
it's right there.
It looks like right. It's like if there was the boot, but if it was like the very top of the boot, like the knee.
Interesting thing about Monaco is that you have to earn a certain amount of money, and you have to live there for a certain amount of days a year.
Yeah, I learned that from Top Gear.
You can't live there.
Right.
And actually, so I was very curious about why like how did people, because there's hotels and everything. Well, where do all these people come from? Do they live there or what? And no, they actually get bussed and they get bussed in from
Right.
another
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. 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 And it was so
So
interesting, obviously, about Europe. And for some of us that live in Canada, it's interesting. You could drive 12 hours in Ontario and still be in Ontario, but you could drive
yeah, you drive longer than
8
that.
countries or 12 countries or something like that in Europe. And
Yeah.
so that's another big thing about the race too. And a lot of people coming from, it, it looks like such a rich area too. And it is definitely one of the most beautiful places in the world as well. And for the biggest race of the year to happen there, and for this rain to happen, you can't. You gotta go on the show. I don't think they just turn on the lights and throw on the air dryers. Like this is a big show,
race.
right?
They can, yeah, and they can race in the wet. It was a lot of wet, and not, you're talking about spray. The drivers just can't see.
There could have been so many factors that
right, and
unknown factors.
and it didn't have to be Monaco for it to be red flag because it's too raining. I mean, too wet because the spray is just too much. You see it in IndyCar or IMSA. You see it in other things. So it's not an unprecedented thing. We just haven't seen it in a while.
Right.
I think in IndyCar.
Right. Yeah. And it's coming.
The last
especially
one I really remember was Canada 2012. I think.
Well, and especially for open wheel fans, and coming off of the Indy GP just a couple weeks ago and seeing that little mess. I mean, those are two. Those are two different beasts we're comparing, but just to give an idea, like how that could have played out if they raced that right. So all in all, in the end, with safety and with good racing and call, it was good that, and obviously they probably saw on a radar that it was going to go through, right? They got radars there too. Like how else do they tell their weather? But yeah, so that played a big factor in the beginning of the race. And finally they got going.
Yeah.
And just a couple things throughout the race that we saw, interesting points. Mick Schumacher, he almost split his car in two. He left the race after crashing out on lap 25.
Yeah,
Schumacher's car, he spun and spliced the car in two when he collided with the tire barriers. Thankfully, Mick was able to get out of there.
They had to red flag the race too, right?
Yeah.
To repair those barriers, didn't they?
And obviously also with his crash during the qualifying with the Saudi Arabia GP2, where he missed that race too. It was good to see. Well, they're obviously going to have a lot to repair for that car as well.
And Magnussen crashed out too first early on too. So they have two cars.
Yeah,
for Canada.
That was rough.
Or Baku.
That was rough. George Russell scored another top 5 for the 7th consecutive race this season with his new team. So he ultimately ended up making the right call for signing with them. Verstappen, he extends his world championship lead on Charles Leclerc in the driver's standings by 3 points to extend the gap to 9. So Verstappen, who scored 15 points for finishing third, now tops the leaderboard with 125 points through 7 stages, while Leclerc, who picked up 12 points, sits second with 116 points. Perez remains in third, but is now only 6 points back of Leclerc. And
I know. I feel like we should know everything that goes on, and it's hard. But there was a mistake in there, dealing with tires or getting the wrong tires or the wrong strategy with Leclerc that put Leclerc back, and took him out of contention for the win of that race. So
yeah, that was very frustrating. We heard some of his in-car driver audio, and
he was.
That was
upset.
a big fib by Ferrari.
What reminded me of when Red Bull messed up with Danny Rick one year, and they weren't ready for him, and they screwed up the pit stop, and he ended up losing the race. And after he comes across the start finish line, he just says, "Save it! I don't even want to hear it. There's nothing you can say." And I thought, yeah, I guess that's true. But
So this confusion would have been when he was coming to the pits on lap 22, and so
they're going from like wets to inners or
wets to mediums. Leclerc over the radio was told to stay out, but it was too late, and he ended up entering the pits.
He double stacked.
He did double stacked up, and he lost just all that precious time during just the 2 seconds that he waited for. Leclerc dropped to 4th, although his team assured him that Red Bull had to still pit again at that point.
They double stacked him, and he had to come back in for a pit stop for tires or something like that. That's real crappy because they really needed this win.
They could have easily been,
I don't think they're going to do Baku. They're going to do well at Baku.
That's what's going up next. Baku at Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And
I don't think they'll be strong there. I think Red Bull will. Verstappen's going to win that.
Perez is the defending race winner there, so we'll see who gets that one. Going into that finished up, then right next thing you know, the Indy 500 starting up, and a lot of eyes on Jamie Johnson in his first Indy 500. Although it did end disappointing on Sunday, he still ended up getting the Rookie of the Race for the Indy 500 for the 2022 season. He had a good run for most of the part of that race. He crashed out on lap 194, so he had out of the 200 laps, he was just so close to making that.
Yeah, Jimmy was impressive. I mean, I think he was impressive the whole month of May. He was impressive in qualifying. He was impressive in practicing leading up to it. I had high hopes for him. I really thought he could do well,
especially finishing 5th at Texas in March.
Yes. So, and he knows that track. So, but realistically, it's a 200 lap race. That's really long, and he was going up against guys who have previously won this race.
I think he had no problem though. I think he was fine.
I think he was going to finish in. Where was he running just before he crashed? Do you remember?
It was close. I think he was around somewhere around 20. No.
Oh, 20.
But yeah, he'll, obviously he's got some more to look forward to going on for the rest of the season.
Realistically, finishing the race would have been a win for him.
Right.
I would think he's going to take a lot of positives out of it. But ultimately, I think he's going to be pretty disappointed because he probably crashed.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, right? He would have liked to at least finish it. No doubt on that, right? But also with Scott Dixon and his speeding penalty.
And that's so on Scott, right? He's the Iceman.
Right.
He's the 6-time champ. He's the Jimmy Johnson of IndyCar, right? He's the best. He's the GOAT. He's whatever. So to see a mistake like that was really interesting, and actually his reaction to it was really funny. I don't know if you heard it, but his team came on and said, "Okay, we got a speeding penalty in the first sector. You need to pit this lap." And he keyed up the mic and said, "Are you serious?" And and then I heard afterwards that he was really, really upset after the race.
Oh, yeah. So 23 laps remaining. And then all he did was just lock up his rear tires while he was braking on the entry there. And IndyCar flagged his speed and handed him down that pass-through penalty. And I think he had that race too, honestly.
And he's had some pretty bad luck there. He's had some pretty bad crashes there. This one is definitely one that got away. Scott's not getting any younger. This race is incredibly hard to win. It's always been incredibly hard to win. I think it's more difficult than it's ever been to win this race. So when you're in contention and something happens, you just you're gonna spend the rest of your life with the what if, right? What if I didn't crash, or what if I didn't speed? You never know when you're going to be in contention again. I think we see that in NASCAR. That's why winning is so important in NASCAR right now, because you don't know when you're going to be able to win again, because it's so competitive. But
he got out of his car. He apologized to each crew member. He was able to, and he went even to his teammates in the Alex Palous pit box and the other Chip Ganassi Racing members, and he apologized. Like he owned that big time, and you could tell, like, if right as he got out of the car, maybe that was his way of not dwelling on
Scott.
it.
I mean,
that's right away being a good sport, great sport about it, and it was a rough run for him. And what about fellow who got nabbed right before the yellow came out, and he was like, there was no bailing on his
that was his teammate Alex
Rice,
teammate Alex.
That was rough.
So his penalty. What was his penalty? I think he just has to go through.
He just had to go through. They wouldn't let him. Yeah, he just had to go through that point.
He just didn't get.
He was too late for him to go through the commit cone. So at that point, I don't even know if you could react, but it was almost just like, that's the penalty I'm taking then, right?
And then,
right.
So,
but hey, all the talk on the sneaky Swede, Marcus Saracen, with his
Scott and Alex's teammate,
right? And he was able to get that win, and it was good to see him win that race.
Was it easy after that red flag?
No. And he had a little. Who's he going against there?
Pato.
Yeah, Pato, and he had a good battle there. In the end,
Pato tried. He tried everything he could, and Marcus was just better. He learned from Scott. He learned from Alex. He apparently made a real tight bond with Dario Franchitti, who is a driver coach, I believe, or driver something. I forget what his title is over at Ganassi, because he's been there forever too. So, coming out of Formula One, it was great. Actually, I'm really happy to see him win. The interesting thing is that he really wasn't in the discussion until the end, and I guess that's
part.
Good. That was a Jimmy Johnson trait, right? I remember that with Jimmy through, especially those long races. It'd just be, you wouldn't hear about him, and then 40 laps to go, it's like, oh, here's Jimmy Johnson creeping into the top 10. Him and Chad Kanowska. Anyway, so Marcus is great. He's the, would you say, second Swede since Kenny Brack to win the Indy 500, so that's pretty big. That's a big accomplishment. I'm curious if I was listening to him in Victory Lane, and I thought, was there a point in his life before he was like contemplating coming to IndyCar that he ever thought he could be an Indy 500 champion? He probably was so fixated on Formula One, he never thought about it. And here he is standing in Victory Lane for one of the best IndyCar teams,
right?
Winning. So that's a pretty cool story to see that. Any notables for you? Anybody who stood out for the day?
Hey, the one guy that stood out to me, unfortunately crashed out early, Rinus VK. That was really unfortunate to see, because there's so many drivers we just named here that could have had a piece of it, and he's just another one of them. So many big names that were contenders early on in the race, and then yeah. Well, how about you, Wallace? And any picks?
I was impressed with Conor Daly. I'm always impressed with Conor Daly there. He's a good driver. He is quick, and I really hope that he can progress a little bit further on. I would have to say that I'm really impressed with Tony Kanaan.
I was gonna say Kanan, yeah, because he had a
You
real.
know,
He came out of nowhere, especially at the end there. Bat out of hell at the end
yeah,
there.
yeah, he led 6 laps on the day, finishing third. I mean, that's amazing for him. Felix Rosenquist, Marcus's team countryman, fourth. That's pretty cool. Unfortunately, we saw Grosjean crash out. We saw Colton Herta out due to mechanical. We saw Scott McLaughlin out uh, due to contact with the wall, which actually Jimmy caused the red flag. Um, but it was a good race. It was exciting. It was fast.
It was nice to see another kind of back to. It was for sure, no doubt, back to normal. There was over at least
Yeah,
350,000 people in the track, not
yeah.
including the surrounding area of the racetrack too. There's a lot going on outside of it during the race
And
too. So
Connor ultimately finished sixth, leading 7 laps
right,
on the day.
but
So
yeah, it was a big day. There was a lot of people there. It was a beautiful day for racing there, and again, it was good to see a nice classic Indy 500 throughout the middle of the day for the trifecta, and then going into obviously was what we didn't know at the time was going to be the longest Coke 600 and the longest NASCAR race, the NASCAR Cup race, that is, in history for Sunday night's Coke 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And, we'll start it off how it ended. Denny Hamlin on the pole for that one. And also how it ended, too, for him there.
yeah, so
Cool.
in a couple years, the record books will just look like it was a boring race. Denny just won it.
Right?
He
Yeah,
was on
sure.
pole and he
Yeah.
won the race. I
But
guess it was
if
a
you look
boring
on the
race.
social media, though, everyone was saying how it was a crazy. It was what apparently even during in the booth they're saying it was the craziest. It was the wildest, the longest. No doubt though, the longest night in racing. Um, 18 yellows, probably one of the contributors to that, and one of being the longest 600s in history. Especially where there was a nearly 20 minute red flag as well for Chris Buescher on the later part of the race, which was a wild wreck.
Yeah, that was crazy. He must
He
have hit a storm grate, or is that what they
no
determined it was?
no so he had hit while he was spinning out, another car had hit his wheel a certain way where it completely came off, and then as he was skidding through the grass,
okay, yeah.
it and as they're saying in the booth, it was like a 1 in a million chance where it just ended up just kind of going under. I don't know how science does it, but it just does it, and
Yeah,
it
just
did
hooked
rip
and
up some
flipped
of the
it, yeah.
turf. It
Yep.
did rip up some of the turf there, but yeah,
Oh, that's right. It's turf, right? It's not grass
right.
anymore on the
So
front
it was
stretch there. Yeah.
it was a wild tumble for Chris Buescher. He at least, I think it was at least 8 flips, and the thing it was,
It was
like
pretty
it was
violent.
it was a slow, like his car wasn't going very fast at that point. He had hit a lot of cars to kind of break up his momentum and some
hmm
of the impact in what could have been even a worse wreck. But yeah, it was like he was already but the car was just going and he wasn't
hmm
going very fast, but it just flipped and flipped, and it took them a while to get him over, but the AMS safety crew right on that there, and they were able to help him out of the car, and he was good and clear to go after the race.
I
Always a
do
scary
thank him for
situation when you see that, though.
I do thank him for the beautiful shot of the under tray for the cup car, the new
Right,
cars.
and Pepe noted that, and also interesting too. I think that was our first legitimate flip in the new next gen car.
Harrison Burton at Daytona.
He
Wasn't
roofed
it
it.
Daytona? Wasn't it? Yeah, wasn't it Daytona
I
that
don't
he
remember.
flipped, or
Okay, so
was it
yeah, all right.
Fontana? Yeah, he flipped it. He's the second one to flip it.
Okay, so he's the second one to flip it. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, because Harrison got I was watching. I saw on YouTube a guy named Noah Lewis. If you got people different, maybe you feel him. You see him at the Cup races interviewing drivers. Anyways, he interviewed Harrison, and Harrison had brought that up that he's now not the only one.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah. But so it was good to see him come out there, and now we even know more of what these cars can take. And speaking of that, also Larson, he went through hell and back, coming from various setbacks through that race. Just in the in-car audio for the number 5 at one point earlier on in the race, the quote-unquote worst race of my life quote came up. Larson was not having it early on. He had I think he had a couple penalties and a couple of slip-ups too throughout the race, and he was even his crew chief Cliff Daniels was able to say, give him a little pep talk mid-race.
Yeah, lap 102, Kyle Larson equipment interference penalty. The nice thing about a 600-mile race is that's pretty early on. That's something you can definitely rally from, because unlikely they were going to go green the rest of the way. So,
well, he still got to finish in 9th after he was involved in a wreck in the first NASCAR overtime. I think he going in if there wasn't.
He spun, right? He had that spin all by himself, battling. Yeah, no, he had that spin all by himself. Remember, we had a couple cars spin right off, going down into the chicane
and then right at the end there on that restart, he wasn't able to. That's when he got kind of suffocated by all the cars, and there was a big wreck there.
He got another equipment interference penalty. He at lap 167. Wow, what a crap night he had. The fact that he even finished is amazing.
So he had no doubt he had a pretty good comeback still. Happy. What about another just an overall? I mean, I think there's a good point where I think maybe for the number 4 Kevin Harvick fans, maybe that at this point in the season, we're looking at maybe a turning of the tide for the number 4. He had with his P3 finish here, some good momentum to work off of. He's got a couple of good finishes already this season that he can work off of like this.
I think that team Stuart Haas is
starting to figure some stuff out.
Starting to figure it out.
Yeah.
We saw Chase Briscoe really doing well this race. I would say he was being notable in this race of how well he's run. He hasn't run particularly well maybe since his win, but he really stepped it up, and then he spun there racing Kyle Larson for the lead. A spin like that, I would be less upset to see, because that's going for the win and all that. But what a great recovery for him and the team to come back 4th in that for the race there. So that was a pretty cool thing to see. And yeah, like you said, sorry, I kind of went on a chase thing there. But
yeah, Briscoe.
It's great to see.
It's good that we mentioned Briscoe, because that was definitely a good drive from him too.
Well, it was a lot. Like, I heard a lot of people comparing this race and how this track was going to run to Fontana, and I'm pretty sure he ran pretty well there too. And so,
Yeah,
you know,
the Cup race was, with all the yellows and whatnot, and it was interesting to it that night. There was a point too where it was good to see that, Denny Hamlin and Kyle, come down to Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. After all that, we're at least in for some sort of show on that second NASCAR overtime. And it was, as you had mentioned earlier with the Toyotas. The Toyotas had a pretty good recovery through there. Christopher Bell in 5th, Truex just outside in 12th, Bubba and Kurt getting involved in an accident respectively earlier on midway through the race.
A day to forget. He finished down in 28.
And so. Kurt was already through his wreck, and then he got nearly clipped through there. So he was almost through there and had some bad luck there. But yeah, so Toyota ended up kind of having a good recovery though, especially Joe Gibbs in particular.
Okay, so talking about teams that I think have made a recovery coming into this part of the season, I would say Joe Gibbs. Thinking about back to like Fontana, where they had heating issues and overheating issues, right? And they just never seemed. Yeah, Denny won at Richmond. Christopher Bell hasn't really been that strong everywhere. Kyle's been really strong, but it seems like he's like strong or wrecked. Right, Kyle has no middle ground. I mean, I guess finishing. You know what I mean? So
we got to for sure, give him credit for that.
Yeah, but so it seems like Joe Gibbs the organization is maybe moving a little bit forward and coming out better now.
With this, absolutely. We're
getting into the dog days of the season, right?
Well, Hemlin, with this though, particularly, the team can take a lot out of this. They can kind of now say, oh well, our guy has all 3 of NASCAR's crown jewel races under his belt. Hemlin can kind of go, be looked up to. Obviously, he already was, but now. With something, just that little thing added onto his resume, the Coke 600, adding on to the Daytona 500 and Southern 500 wins, with Harvick being the only active driver with that elusive title, that's got to be some good momentum going into the rest of the season for Hemlin, and I wonder if something like that ends up, being one of those final 4 factors.
Well, this also. Officially locked him into the playoffs, right? So not that we're going to get the 16 winners this year,
but it's good to get that in the bank.
Now, no matter what,
right? No matter what you're in, right? And that's still nice to know.
Guaranteed in. So that
was also the longest NASCAR race in history.
Which is funny because he say something about that race could be 300 miles?
Right. Yeah.
So, he is. If you look at the current standings, Denny, because of this win, moves into 17th, but he was very far behind. For a while, so yeah, good for him, good for that organization. We had a lot of tire issues. I think that's another thing we could point something important to point out for that race.
For the whole trifecta weekend too, if you think about it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah. But yeah. Especially at Charlotte, and you're going that long and with through all the different changes of the track and the car, and
That
We
fast.
saw some different lines getting it, which was cool. How racy it was, and it was good. You made a good point earlier about as we wrap it up here. You made a good point about some of the intermediate tracks or quote unquote cookie cutter tracks being real racy this year in the new next gen car.
Yeah, I mean, let's take Texas out of that, but yes, they've all seemed to have been
Yeah.
have been really good. Like, everyone was saying Fontana sucks, tear it down. Now everybody's going, oh, whoa, wait a second, maybe Fontana's okay. Las Vegas was amazing. Atlanta was really good, although I don't know, I don't know how to classify Atlanta. Like, I know they want to say it's a super speedway, but it's not really a super speedway. It's like a really fast mile and a half. I don't know how to put it, but so I'm really excited to see what comes up for them. But yeah, tracks. It's funny, yeah, tracks that we thought, which is unfortunate for Texas because I think we were hoping that maybe seeing some of the success of what that racing was looking like, there was hope for Texas. But I really think it's that resin. But it's funny. I don't know if you heard Denny's quote from last week.
The only way
On
they'll
the
be able
Dale
to fix
Jr.
it is
download.
to tear it up.
Yeah, bulldozer.
Yeah, bringing a bulldozer because the PJ1 is probably so much of it that there's probably no way that they're going to be able to save that. And also that when did they just resurface that? Just a couple of years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. So that's not even yikes, eh? Texas, they got something to figure out on their hands for sure.
They do. But anyways, yeah, it was really good. It was a good race. It was a long race, like we said. I think
How about
for
our fantasy points here, quick?
Well, I shot a long
had a good
game
week here.
I finished second, and I was pretty lucky with that, so I'll take it because it wasn't looking good for a while. Because I picked Cody Ware, for instance, as one of my prospects for the race because I'm running out of guys and I need to save them for a little bit later on.
Right. I had Busher, Bowman, McDowell,
strategy.
Chase, Ross, and Ka on the bench there. Ka on the bench there. So that got me a 5th place. But yeah, you got the best one there. But ultimately, Ty Parker at 1st place with 179 points.
He won.
I'm sure he's real. Parker's real proud of that. He sends me the screen caps, and he's real proud of his. He's got the best picks. 161 for Wallace. Dirty Joe from the oil fields with 130. Good pick for him this week. Slick Seth 125. He got this week. Yours truly with 5th at 121 points, and Pepe Racing 102 points. Wooded Duck Motorsports 22 points. Eggman, where are you? Hello, Eggman. Earth to Eggman. We got to get you on those picks. Got to get you back on those picks.
So where I'm really doing. Where I'm really doing good is these featured matchups. So, anyways, my picks for this past week was. Well, they do, and I seem to get lucky. So I had Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I had Michael McDowell, Eric Amarola, Cody Ware, Ryan Blaney, and Noah Gregson. On the bench, which I never pulled him out of there because I didn't need to because he had troubles all night. Yeah. But then between the Kyle v. Kyle show, I had Bush over Larson, and it was right. The Elliott versus Truex Jr., I picked Truex, and he did. I had Blaney over Bush, Kurt the Elder, and Ryan beat him, and I had Suarez over Wallace, no relation.
Some good picks.
And I got lucky on some of those because Bubba finished 28th and Suarez finished 25th. Bush Kurt finished 31st, and Blaney finished 29th. So I got a little lucky on some of those.
And so overall league standings, you're at the top there. That puts Seth up to second, Dirty Joe in third, Ty Parker in fourth. Overall, yours truly in fifth. Up. Wounded Duck in Ty Parker had a slow start of the season, moving up. Wounded Duck in sixth, and Pepe in last. Of course, Pepe is in last. But yeah, check out our league.
He always just picks Elliott.
Yeah,
he just picked all Elliott.
Check out our league on NASCAR, fantasygames.nascar.com, the Wide World of Motorsports. I'd love to have you there. The winner of the season will get a prize from us. Also, check us out on the social media pages. Lots of cool stuff there. As we said earlier in the show, we had some cool postings of our venture at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park this past weekend. Article and some
great
pictures.
Photos, man.
Thank you. Yeah,
really good photos.
Yeah, they turned out real well in the cutting room, as they say. And also a couple good articles from Wallace over here of his thoughts on the early part of the NASCAR Pinty season. So some good read there on the Wide World of Motorsports podcast.wordpress.com, and some big news coming up actually in regards to that. Shortening, hopeful shortening. And if you want, in this time what we're talking, if you want your sponsor or your brand or your product to be aired, give us an email at the Wide World of Motorsports. Actually, it's just Wide World of Motorsports at gmail.com. And then, or you just message us on Facebook or whatever. We'll get back to you. We'd love to promote your product on the show and get you out there and promote motorsport in the automotive industry and whatever else. Love to hear from you. Also, you can listen to us weekly on the good old FM dial in St. John, New Brunswick, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on CFMH 107.3 local FM. And you can also check us out on your smart device on the Performance Motorsport Network. Just open up your device's store. Just say, hey, or you can say, hey, Siri, Alexa, I want to download Performance Motorsports Network. That works. You can also listen to us in the Waterloo region monthly in Ontario, CKMS 102.7 Radio Waterloo, as well on the FM dial there. And also, be sure to stay tuned to our... We got the Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the WWMS. All of our main stuff is there. All of our race updates and all the cool breaking news and any of the happenings throughout the Wide World of Motorsports will be on our social media pages and also on the Twitter there. Wallace has got his own Twitter there going, so real cool for that. And hey, also throughout our social media, we're going to be having postings. We're going to be special guests on a podcast. Also in Southern Ontario here, the Stickers in Scuffs podcast. We're looking forward to that. And also next week on the show, we have a huge announcement, big announcement on the show. Hey Wallace, that's the timer right there. Big announcement on the show. So we're looking forward to that. That just about wraps it up for this edition, folks. We'll see you around the bend.
Adios.